Blizzard gave us the Paladin early, and then casually dropped that we're getting another new class as well, with the press release giving us this mysterious teaser. A second, yet unrevealed class looms on the dark horizon. Its power undeniable, its arrival poised to reshape the battlefield. That is not how you tease dude with a spear. That's how you tease you ain't seen nothing like this yet. So today we're gonna do the full detective board. We'll go over every major theory of the new class, every clue, every leak, and by the end, we're gonna say which one is the most likely. Hey folks, this is Rhykker, and Diablo 4's next expansion, Lord of Hatred, launches on April 28th. We know it's coming with 2 new classes. The Paladin is one, playable now if you pre-purchase. But the real question is, what is the second class? The one that Blizzard refuses to reveal. And while they haven't yet told us what it is, we do have a few things to go on. We know the expansion is taking us to Skovos. We know that the second class will reshape the battlefield. And we have a brief glimpse of the silhouette of the new class. So that's our evidence board. We're going to get into the suspects now. But before we do, a reminder that you can find all my Diablo 4 content on my website, Rhykker.com, which brings us to a word from this video's sponsor. I built my website using Squarespace, and I was able to do everything myself, quickly and easily, and with zero education in the field, all thanks to how easy Squarespace is to work with. Squarespace offers a ton of pre-made, professionally designed website templates for any kind of website, and also offers Blueprint AI, which is an AI-enhanced website builder to help you fully customize a beautiful-looking, personalized website made exactly for your needs and your unique identity. Squarespace even has optimized SEO tools so that you can launch your website and start getting views as quickly as possible through search engine traffic, plus analytics to then review where your traffic's coming from. You can also sell products or services, with Squarespace providing everything you need to engage customers, from easy online payment methods to built-in tools for inventory, shipping, and fulfillment. And this includes custom merch. You just send in the designs and Squarespace handles everything else. Basically, if you want to build a website, I recommend Squarespace. So head to squarespace.com/Rhykker or click the link in the description to start your free trial and use code Rhykker to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain when you're ready to launch. That's squarespace.com/RHYKKER and use code Rhykker. All right, we're going to go over the rules for guessing the new class, but before that, a quick note that today is January 21st. This is when I'm recording this, because today, on the day that this video is going live, which should be the 31st of January, I'm on a plane right now. So that's why no news video today, but I still wanted to make sure I had a video ready to launch for you folks who watch every Saturday morning. Love you all, and I appreciate that you've made me part of your Saturday morning ritual, like Saturday morning cartoons when we were kids. So let's establish a few rules for guessing the new class, hinged on Blizzard design philosophy. They don't just add anything to the game. So rule number 1, the new class has to fit a missing fantasy. We're not going to get basically another rogue or sorceress, but in green. It's got to have a new vibe. Rule number 2, it has to have a unique class mechanic. Every class in Diablo 4 has a thing. Barbarian has the arsenal system, the Necromancer has the Book of the Dead, Paladin has his oaths. So the mystery class needs an identity that can support a system. Rule number 3, it needs an identity that fits with the expansion's theme and region. Vessel of Hatred added the Spiritborn, the jungle monk, basically, which fit very much into Nahantu. He's from Nahantu, the jungle. And in my interview with game director Brent Gibson, he said this about potential future classes.
And one thing that was very important for you guys with the Spiritborn was to ensure that it's connected to the world. It's connected to this region that we're going to explore. Nahantu, the Vessel of Hatred. Was this just specifically for the Spiritborn, or do you feel this is a design philosophy for new classes in general?
Yeah, this is a design philosophy for any class we decide to go after inside of the franchise. Ultimately a class is about a power fantasy, and I don't believe you can really deliver on that fantasy without having some foundational background, right? Whether it is what you believe in as a class or where you come from as a class. Ideally, you have both of those. I think that really starts to help shape it in a way that makes it unique.
So in Lord of Hatred, we are going to the Skovos Isles, and Mephisto is looming. So ideally, the new class would fit with Skovos culture, or the Hatred Mephisto theme, or both. And Skovos is a very historically important region in the Diablo universe. We've never been there before in a game. We almost went there in Diablo 3. There was a lot of concept art made up. At the end of Diablo 3, there's some voice lines hinting at the Skovos Isles. But Skovos has a lot to inform us of what we can expect. So let's talk about Skovos. This is the smoking gun. German website GameStar even has this in-game map of the Skovos Isles, which seems completely legitimate, even though they're the only outlet that seems to have it in their possession. Now, we know Skovos as the homeland of the Ascari people, better known as the Amazons. They're a seafaring culture, they're ancient, they're isolated, and they're tied into the world's history of relics and prophecy. And more recently, I don't know if it's quite a retcon, but they've established that the initial civilization of Nephilim, of humans in the world, originated on Skovos. And the new artwork and the new concepts for Skovos depict statues of Lilith and Inarius. They say, in fact, that Inarius and Lilith spent time there back when they were originally coming to Sanctuary. In fact, many of the Skovos Isles themselves are named after angels. There's the island of Lycander. The Diablo 3 and Diablo 4 item Ahavarion is the spear of the angel Lycander. So for Blizzard to decide that Skovos is the region where we're going, in Expansion 2, it would be absolutely shocking if the second class wasn't somehow tied to Skovos. And so this gives us the #1 contender that any vaguely lore-savvy player brings up, and that's the Amazon. Amazon is the obvious pick. Skovos is the home of the Amazons. We are undoubtedly going to see many Amazons in the expansion. Another point in the favor of the Amazon is that Diablo 4 lacks a true spear-wielding class. In Diablo 2, the Javazon, spears and javelins, right? That was a strong playstyle, and we don't have anything like that in Diablo 4. Yes, rogues do cover the ranged side of things, bows and crossbows, but spear or javelin and a buckler, we got nothing like that. Another reason in favor of the Amazon is it's a nostalgia class, people like it, people want it back. But here's some reasons why it might not be the Amazon. Diablo 4 already has 2 dexterity classes in the Rogue and the Spiritborn, and the Rogue already is a ranged dexterity class. Blizzard tends to avoid having 2 classes do the same job. If you add the Amazon, do you not give it bows and crossbows? Because that would be kind of weird. But if you do give it bows and crossbows, then how do you make it different enough from the Rogue? Another issue is that Amazons canonically are female only, and we don't have any gender-locked classes. Now they can change the lore in Diablo and say, well, ever since the big apocalypse, now we have need for male Amazons as well. But I think for people unfamiliar with Diablo lore specifically, they might think it a little bit odd that, oh, I can make a male Amazon? Like, average person on the street, ask them what an Amazon is within the context of an ancient warrior, and they'll be able to tell you, oh yeah, isn't that those ancient female bow-wielding warriors? This doesn't rule out Amazon, but I think it makes it less likely. Another point against the Amazon is we already have the nostalgia class with the Paladin. Are they really going to bring 2 nostalgia classes at the same time? And if they were bringing the Amazon and the Paladin, wouldn't it make more sense to release the Amazon early? Because you say the expansion is in Skovos, everyone's going to guess Amazon is the most obvious thing, and then people wouldn't be able to guess the Paladin. It just kind of doesn't make sense to do it this way. Another thing working against the Amazon is that this silhouette does not read as Amazon to me. But again, not impossible for it to be the Amazon, so if it is the Amazon, what could the Amazon look like in Diablo 4? Because it can't just be Rogue 2.0. So I think one thing that could potentially be leaned into is a formation fighter. So think of something similar to Paladin Oaths, but maybe based on battle stances. So you can have a phalanx stance, and that's going to be a defensive kind of build. Really leaning on the shield or buckler, maybe tanky, more melee. Then you can have skirmisher stance, which is more fast-paced, hit-and-run tactics, high mobility. Then you can have the huntress stance, which is a more ranged playstyle, maybe more single target. You can like mark enemies. And maybe the stances are actually things that you could change throughout gameplay. So rather than just selecting one stance to always be in, like a Paladin Oath, certain skills might be tied to certain stances and might automatically move you into that stance. Maybe the Amazon's resource system could be momentum, and you build momentum either by moving or by maybe making skill chains. You chain skills, and then you have these big finishers to dump momentum. So the Amazon could fulfill a sort of mid-range kind of role. It's not a long-range class, it's not quite melee, it fits into being close but not too close, tossing out javelins, long reach spear attacks. Whatever the case, there's definitely ways to make the Amazon unique and separate from the other classes. But again, Amazon is what everyone expects, and it feels like Blizzard is teasing something weirder than that. So let's move on to contender number 2, the Oracle, a sort of seer or prophet kind of class. If we really want to lean into the reshaping the battlefield thing, this is how you do it. Now, the Oracle is a very strong contender, and partially because Skovos lore supports it. You see, Amazons are just one part of Askari society. The Askari are broken down into 2 castes, the Amazon caste and the Oracle caste. Now, the Oracles are seers. Thousands of years ago, they predicted the Dark Exile. They saw the future. Now, there's an artifact that originated on Skovos called the Sightless Eye. It actually plays a part in the story of Diablo 4, if you remember in the campaign. An ancient human, aka Nephilim, named Philios, which is also one of the names of one of the Skovos Isles, he basically fell in love with Lycander, the angel, and he used this artifact called the Sightless Eye to maintain contact with Lycander. But this basically is like one of those Lord of the Rings spying orbs, so it could be used for divination purposes, not just contacting other people and places in the present, but also foreseeing the future. The Sightless Eye formed a critical part of Askari culture, specifically for the Oracle caste, but at some point, it was stolen by a group of renegade Amazons who left the Skovos Isles and became the Sisterhood of the Sightless Eye that we see in Diablo 2. So all this to establish that we've already set a precedent for the existence of this Sightless Eye. We're going to Skovos, the originating point of the Sightless Eye. We are going to meet oracles. They are a key component to Askari culture. And it will be a nice parallel to the Paladin, right? You bring the Paladin, the nostalgia class, and then you bring the Oracle, a new, never-before-seen class. Also, if you care about the symmetry of classes based on different ability scores, i.e. Paladin is a strength class, Barbarian's a strength class, Spiritborn and Rogue are dexterity, Necromancer and Sorceress are intelligence, well then you got the Druid all by his lonesome as a wisdom class. So a new wisdom class, again, if you want to go by the parallel structure, would make sense, and Oracle is very much a wisdom class. Now in Diablo 3 we had the Wizard, and part of the Wizard's kit, especially with the Delzir set, was time manipulation. So I could imagine that a seer kind of character who can see the future might express that via time manipulation skills. That would be something very new and unique to Diablo 4. And how else can you reshape the battlefield than by manipulating time and fate? So I could imagine this class, again, dropping slow time bubbles to slow or freeze enemies, stop projectiles. I can see the mirror image from the Diablo 3 Wizard as well, right? Creating duplicates of yourself. The ultimate could be a complete time stop. The class mechanic could be prophecies. Maybe one of them gives you access to some kind of like a rewind ability so that your skills, health, and mana like reset to where it was a couple seconds back. So you can use your rewind either offensively or defensively, like offensively to do a big mana dump, rewind, get all your mana back, dump it again. Or you just took a big hit, you're down to like 1 life, boom, rewind, you're back. Or maybe even it's like a cheat death where you automatically rewind if you're gonna die. It could even rewind you in space. You go back to a location that you were in. Maybe one of the prophecies is a foretelling where you see shadows of yourself in the future, and if you go move into that position within a certain amount of time, you get some kind of a buff. Maybe one of the mechanics is that you can like record all the damage that an enemy took in the last X seconds, and then you can like replay that damage a second time. Like it snapshots it, and then you reactivate that same damage. Anyway, there'd be a lot of opportunities to create a class that leans into this kind of thing that is super distinct from anything that we have. It would be a caster, yes, we do have a few casters, but it would be different from the Necromancer because it doesn't have summons. It would be different from the Sorceress because it's not elemental magic. It would be more of a playstyle where you're setting up and knocking down dominoes, controlling the battlefield. So I think Oracle is a very strong contender here. It especially fits the shaping the battlefield. This silhouette could possibly match. That hand movement does read vaguely as a spellcaster. We're not seeing any obvious weapons. The only thing that doesn't quite match is the whole Dark Horizon thing. Now, I don't know if Dark Horizon is just we're Diablo, so we say evil sounding things, or if it's meant to tease that the class is on the darker, edgier side. So that takes us to contender number 3, something that gets brought up, Witch Doctor. There are Diablo 3 fans that want to see the Witch Doctor return. We currently don't have anyone who fits that big bad voodoo energy, but we do have a jungle class in the Spiritborn. It feels like if we were going to get a Witch Doctor, it would have been with Vessel of Hatred, given that they're from that region. They're not from Skovos. The pet gameplay of the Witch Doctor also kind of overlaps a lot with the Necromancer. There's a lot of things working against the Witch Doctor, but let's try to strongman the argument. If it were to be a Witch Doctor, and it were to be in Diablo 4, maybe it would be something that better fit Skovos. So let's maybe drop the doctor part and lean more into a witch, maybe even a sea witch. We know that the Drowned, for instance, are a big threat on Skovos. The Drowned is an enemy type that is very unique in Diablo 4. We got these ancient rituals happening in Skovos. So imagine a reimagined Witch Doctor as a sea witch that can do those big water attacks. It can still bring that curse energy. It can drop totems or wards to control the battlefield. And this silhouette could read as witch. Overall, I still don't think it's very likely, so we're not going to spend too much time on this. But again, if it's a Witch Doctor, it's probably going to be reimagined more into the witch side of things. That takes us to number 4, the Monk. Diablo 3 players, a lot of them really love the Monk and want to see it return. I don't think it's likely. The Spiritborn is already Jungle Monk, and the Paladin is already Holy Man, so there's not a lot of room for the Monk to do anything at all that is novel right now. There's also not really anything that points to Monk other than, well, they're bringing one holy class, maybe they're going to bring in 2 holy classes. I've seen that justification. I think that actually means they're going to be redundant. It would be reason to not think it would be 2 holy classes. So I'm going to put Monk as a very low possibility. Lowest of all the ones we've gone over so far. That takes us to number 5, the Assassin from Diablo 2. Assassin is awesome, but rogues exist. Assassins are defined by martial arts, which Spiritborn, traps, which we got the rogue with traps. I think you could make an assassin that leans even more into trap gameplay, maybe do something a little bit more interesting there. It's got the combo points as well, which rogue kind of subsumed. It's got the shadow clone, which rogue again took, so there's not a whole lot left in the assassin kit that hasn't already been mined. Unfortunately, all we have really is the fist weapons, which I love fist weapons. I think it's the freaking coolest thing in the game. But right now, I think just assassin is not a high probability. More likely than the Monk, but less likely than anything else. That takes us to our final contender, the Warlock, who would sort of be a demonologist, a demon summoner in Diablo 4. This fully captures Dark Horizon. And if Blizzard wants a class that pairs with the Paladin, light versus dark, this is your duo. Now, we've never had an evil class before. Necromancers are not evil, they're just misunderstood. They're sinister, they're spoopy, but they are, by definition, not evil, right? They are priests of Rothma, they are keepers of the balance. Their goal is to protect the world from angels and demons. But a demon summoning class, or one that delves with demonic powers, certainly leans far more sinister or evil. You don't have to make it evil, and it kind of depends on what exactly this is going to be. But there was a mage clan in Diablo lore that was known as the Spirit Clan. This is the Vigeri mages. And through studying magic, they learned to summon spirits into the world. But what they didn't realize at first was that those spirits were actually demons, because they had no concept of what demons were, so they just thought they were spirits. So there is precedent within the lore of Diablo to have a demon summoner class. And you can have it not be evil by, well, I am binding this demon to my will. I am using evil to fight evil. So maybe it involves summoning demons. Maybe it could even involve just binding demons. Maybe that's how it shapes the battlefield, by you're able to gain control over demons on the battlefield, or just enemies in general, who knows. For the Paladin and its mechanic, they went for oaths, which parallel Dungeons & Dragons Paladin oaths. So in Dungeons & Dragons, warlocks have pacts. So maybe the pacts could be the mechanic of the warlock in Diablo 4. Maybe you can have a pact of the blade, which gives you a sort of enchanted melee weapon to make you a spell sword kind of class. Maybe the class has an ultimate form that transforms him into a demon, in the same way that the Paladin can kind of transform into an angel. This is also a way of bringing in the some of the Demon Hunter flavor from Diablo 3 without bringing in the Demon Hunter class, which would be very redundant with the rogue in playstyle, but the spirit of I am channeling sort of demonic power to fight demons could be carried over here. It is also a very edgy or edgelord kind of class. So maybe the resource can also be hatred, as it is in Diablo 3. Now, one thing that we haven't touched upon in all this is the Paladin doesn't make sense as a class to come with this expansion because it has no connection to Skovos. Well, that could actually possibly strengthen our argument for the Warlock here. And there's two reasons. The first is they added this whole idea that Lilith and Anarius, right, were tied to Skovos. So, heaven and hell, good and evil, light and dark. And this whole light and dark theme is carried over in the Super Deluxe Edition cosmetic pre-order bundle of the class cosmetics, where you see it's very half light and dark. So it could be that we have this duality where the paladins that were introduced, maybe there was an order of paladins that originated in Skovos. We know that there were many orders of paladins. Maybe one of them did descend from whatever angels were there, and maybe Lilith's followers learned to somehow summon demons or make pacts with demons for power. The Warlock as well would be the marketing bomb. So Oracle, I think overall makes more sense kind of lore-wise and thematically, but Warlock would sell a lot better. Especially when you look at the expansion as a whole, you get the Paladin, the light, and the Warlock, the dark. As a package together, as a cohesive product to sell, that's just dynamite. Paladin and Oracle, not as strong. But to sum up my shortlist here, I think the most likely candidate, I'm going to put the Oracle. And I'm going to put the Warlock just a step behind. As a plausible, I'm going to put the Amazon and the Witch. And as a probably not, the Monk and the Assassin. But I turn the question to you folks. What do you think the new class will be? Sign up in the comments, because that's going to wrap up this video. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my supporters for making these videos possible. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to join Rhykkers Raiders for more Diablo content.